let's welcome our first guest. All right, let's bring him in, the CEO of RimRock Gold Corporation, Jordan Starkman. Bring him in.
Eric, thanks so much for having me.
Jordan, welcome to the BFC. How you doing?
Thank you. Everything's great.
So now you're from the Toronto area, correct?
Yes, right in the downtown Toronto core.
So we're literally like an hour away.
Exactly, not too far.
And listen, the truth is, I'm glad we're meeting here on the BFC and not at a Sabres-Leafs game, because you and I both know how that goes,
No, listen. I've been a Leaf fan forever, and you know what? They just continuously build you up and then just knock you right back down. So I don't fall for it anymore. I don't get overly excited about the Toronto Maple Leafs anymore. It is what it is.
We're having a drought in Buffalo, quite the drought. Now to all the folks out there, those games, those Leafs Sabres games, they get rowdy, let me tell you. And once those fans, once they have a couple pops, things get going. They get a little wild. And if you want to actually look at some cool hockey brawls, there's like a ton of information, or a ton of information. There's a ton of videos on YouTube, Sabres and Leafs fights. And it's really fun to watch, especially when you're at the game and you see people getting like batshit crazy. It's really, really fun to watch. But I do love the rivalry there. And so as a Bills fan, Sabres fan, I know what it's like to get let down. Trust me.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's funny though. My father and I used to love it when any of the Buffalo sports teams would lose, because we obviously do get the Buffalo channels in Toronto. And we would just love listening to the broadcasters, the sports guys, just cry the blues, especially back in the day when the Buffalo Bills, what was it, 4 Super Bowls in a row they lost? Yeah,
you had to throw that in there, huh? Oh, it's well, it's crazy because there was a speculation that the Bills were actually going to move to Toronto.
I know. I would love to see that happen.
Not me. I live right around the corner from the stadium, and I'll tell you, it's pretty cool because we have a ton of Toronto Bills fans, big time Bills fans, and they come down the highway in their buses. It's like a train every Sunday at like 8 a.m. And some of them actually come and on Saturday, and they park it and they party all weekend, sometimes Friday. It
is fun. I've been to only one Buffalo Bills game, had to wear a parka, a blanket. It was just freezing cold. After that, I thought no more.
Yeah, and they're actually building a new stadium. So I'm excited to see like what transpires there. And what's cool is being so close, I get to watch the thing go up piece by piece, because you see like they're just starting to dig everything out now. And, it's pretty wild stuff.
And that's amazing. That's great.
So I know a lot of people in the chat are here to talk about RMRK. And so tell us a little bit about your experience this far working as a CEO in the OTC in general, and more specifically, RMRK.
Yeah, no, listen, again, thanks so much for having me on the show. I've been in the public market space, Eric, for almost 20 years now, primarily OTC markets. And I think that the OTC platform is great for companies that are looking to secure financing, while at the same time, really, in essence, providing that necessary liquidity for investors. And I think that these benefits are a great asset for OTC companies looking to expand operations and execute on their business plan. Specifically, though, for RimRock, the company has gone through a few transitional stages over the last number of years, but our goal has in essence always been the exact same, which is to create something special that has some serious growth potential, strong revenue, and one that's profitable. And if we can achieve this, which I believe that we can, I think that we're going to create some significant value for shareholders. In terms of my experience as well on OTC, I've really come to realize, and this is one of the reasons why we are so excited about the Blue Nutric deal, is that on the OTC markets, you see stocks go up, stocks come back down. I don't want to be part of that anymore, and I feel that if the only true way to create sustainable value in the OTC space is by having revenue and being profitable. Those are the only two things that can sustain a stock price, in my opinion. So that's what we're focusing on right now.
Right on. And that sounds good. The biggest piece of news as of recent, like you just mentioned, has been the Blue Nutric acquisition. Now, this started about a year ago. And so for many that don't know, there's a lot of back and forth with acquisition negotiations, and it can be a tedious process, especially when the vision is substantial in terms of the overall goals they're trying to achieve. Yeah. So like the bigger the deal, the bigger the acquisition, the longer it's going to take. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. So could you fill us in a little more on how the process with Blue Nutric is going and what shareholders have to look forward to in the next couple weeks?
Yeah. So, let me just start off by saying that we truly are extremely proud of where we're at right now with this deal. I do believe that the Blue Nutric deal is just in the most fantastic space with tremendous opportunity, tremendous potential for strong revenues, and our forecasts actually do show profitability after year one. Yes, I first learned about this deal. It could have been actually over 2 years ago now, but during that time frame, there's been a lot of background planning, really putting all of the pieces of the business plan together. The Blue Nutric team is diverse in talent, skill, very, very strong, and I am actually looking forward and very eager to share more information on that team as soon as we are ready. We're not there yet, but we're definitely getting there.
So could I just ask, is the team growing?
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Yes, it is. And above and beyond the Blue Nutric team, though, we do want to, obviously some of those parties are going to be joining the RimRock team as well and the RimRock board, but we are also in the meantime looking to add members to the RimRock board sooner than later. So we're putting that all together right now. In saying all of that, at this stage, both parties, myself, the Blue Nutric guys, we are fully committed to completing this transaction. It is a very, very friendly deal, which is very important. Unfortunately, right now, with many of the parties being based in Europe, and it being, right now August, these Europeans really do love their extended holidays, and they don't take off a few days or a little weekend here and there. It's 2-3 weeks, and they know how to have a great time, which is great. But unfortunately, the parties are based in Europe, and that's one of the things that we are dealing with right now. But as everyone gets back into town, we are looking forward to closing this transaction. We've actually begun expediting things on our end, as we had discussed in one of the press releases, and we can get into that shortly.
Yeah, right on. I'm actually working on a couple of other private investments and deals, and yes, the holiday is impacting the progress of those. So that's just how it is,
Nature of the beast.
Yeah, that's it. That is the nature of the beast, exactly.
Again, from my standpoint, this has been so long in the making that an extra week, 2 weeks, to me, it's not the end of the world. And I would like to think that, hopefully shareholders can appreciate that as well.
Yeah. And when you're building a business that you want to last many, many years, I've said this before, what's a week? What's an extra day? What's an extra couple weeks? Honestly, for the day trader, that's an eternity,
Yeah.
And what's our least favorite word? That we hear. I always say, well, my favorite word is the word soon. That can mean anything in the OTC
or shortly. I tend to use that quite a bit too.
We all do. That's my new thing. I just say soon all the time, but why not?
Yeah.
So, but how aggressive after this acquisition? After Blue Nutric is done, will you and your team be at applying for the name and the ticker symbol change?
Yeah, good question. There are a few things that need to take place to obtain that new name and the new ticker symbol. There's a fair amount of paperwork involved as well that needs to be reviewed by our lawyers. We've already started the preliminary work and conversations to make all of that happen. As simple as the amendment to the Articles of Incorporation, that's been drafted already. just waiting to file it. We've opened up discussions with our lawyer regarding filing the name change and the symbol request change with FINRA. So we're almost there. As soon as we are ready, like on our end, we've expedited everything. So as soon as we're all set, everything's going to be filed immediately.
Right on. Brian Abbott, shareholders have become patient with this stock because we have been provided updates from Jordan. It is extremely appreciated. Asil, we truly appreciate.
And you know what, I like hearing that, and I'll tell you from my own standpoint, when I used to be an investor, and I would call up the CEO of OTC companies, if I could not get in touch with them, or if I never got a call back, any sort of response whatsoever, to me that was a red flag. So and I'm sure a lot of the shareholders already know this. When they do reach out to me, whether it be a message on Twitter, an email, a text. I mean, everyone has my cell number, so they can call me, they can text me. I make myself available all day, all night, and I think that that's very, very important, just to keep those open lines of communication with the shareholders.
Right on. So I got to ask about the Blue Nutric website. Are you guys going to be launching a new website and an overhaul of that aspect of RimRock? Well, after the name change, is there going to be an overhaul?
The RimRock site, we haven't really updated that in a while. But absolutely, the site's being worked on as we speak. It's a very, very exciting project coming along nicely. The one thing I can tell you about this site is that there's going to be a lot more content than we had originally planned, specifically on the benefits of microalgae, and more importantly, the specific sectors that we will be entering. So a lot of that, more than likely, that will be released before one would actually see it on the website. But there will be many other sectors that we're going to be getting into as well, which is going to be great for the company.
Yeah, as you can see, and actually one of my next questions is in regards to Pierre Schenck. And Jordan says, what can you tell us about Professor Pierre Schenck and the commercialization of his research? And I had the pleasure of sitting down with Professor Schenck, and I look forward to a time when we can sit down and do a roundtable with you, Mr. Professor Schenck, and myself, as well as some shareholders, and really dive into the ins and outs of the finalized acquisition. But tell me a little bit more about your impression of Pierre and what you look forward to the most. And if you could allude a little bit to, the commercialization of the research, if you're able to touch on that. If you can't, I
would rather Pierre touch on that himself. Okay. I mean, listen, all I can tell you, and I'm sure people, investors have done their own little bit of due diligence on Pierre. He really is truly a remarkable scientist, very, very knowledgeable in the sector. And he's been involved in the microalgae space for years. But one of the key benefits is that Pierre has developed his own unique microalgae strains, which will enhance yield production. And I think that will really truly be a significant advantage for us over others in the space. Now, the strains will be utilized to produce sustainable biodiesel, protein-rich aquaculture feed, omega-3 fatty acids, plus many other high-value products that we will get into and we will announce in due course. But Pierre is definitely, without a doubt, a huge asset. We're thrilled to have such a talent like Pierre on the Blue Nutric team, and going forward on the RimRock team as well. And in terms of myself, I am looking forward to working beside Pierre, absorbing as much knowledge as I can from him. And again, the most important thing really is seeing Pierre execute the business plan successfully. That's what I'm really, truly looking forward to.
Yeah, right on. And it's funny because, like, I told him, I'm like, all right, we're going to do this interview. We're going to be talking about microbiology. Oh my gosh. You see, you need to explain this stuff like I'm in junior high, because it's going to go right over my head. And he did a very, very good job. And he told me this, he was awesome. He goes, the first interview, let's just talk basics. Because he goes, you know what? And I give him a list of questions. He goes, I give hour-long lectures just on like one of those questions you gave me. I'm like, all right, so let's think more simple. And we really kind of the science.
Yeah.
And it is intimidating when you learn about a completely new science or something, a new topic. So I did learn a lot during that interview. And if you guys haven't had the chance, seriously, go to my channel. It's there. Check out the whole interview. It's great. It's great listening to him speak, and he's very passionate about what he does. Like you can tell, like he wants to make a difference in the world. And so, anybody that watches this channel knows I'm trying to get people on that I like their business, I like their products, I like their vision on to create a product. Look, when I talk about IFIS, when I talk about ILIS, when I talk about GRPS, you know. Making that shrimp industry really cool. You know, I mean, like there's just tons of companies out there that have a great vision. So these are the kinds of people I want to support. And RMRK here with Blue Nutric, I think is going to be absolutely awesome. So that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about share structure. Now, you guys are looking pretty solid, but your authorized shares are tightening up a little bit. And you have committed to no reverse split. Is there going to be an opportunity for a share buyback to help drive retail and long-term shareholder values? What's overall, give me your sentiment with the share structure. I know you're not adding shares necessarily you're not adding authorized shares for this acquisition, if I'm correct.
So yes, we are maxed out on the common stock side of things right now. As disclosed, you know, in terms of the structure of the deal, we will be issuing the preferred B convertible shares. So those preferred shares can be converted into common shares. Now, it's very, very important to understand here that the management team, they are in this for the long term. They are long-term believers. They are not looking to exit anytime soon. Furthermore, once the preferred B shares have been converted into common, because this has come up in conversation in the past, it's important to understand that once the shares are converted to common, they cannot be sold into the market immediately anyway. There is a 1-year hold before that restriction can be lifted. Okay, so that's very, very important. In addition, again, I don't even know if OTC shareholders or traders even know this, but right now, or actually it's been this way for a number of years now, it is a very, very tough task for a shareholder, for an investor to deposit shares into a brokerage firm if the stock is trading below a penny. It's almost impossible unless you have a multi-million-dollar trading account at a brokerage firm. So even if shares are issued, and shares have been issued in the past, just to reduce the liability section of the balance sheet. But again, those shares cannot be deposited at this point in time. So that's important.
No,
so
I can read between the lines there. I hope my viewers can as well too. So that's a great answer. Just to touch on the other part of your question in terms of buyback, I mean, that unfortunately we cannot really discuss at this point in time. If something like that does happen, obviously it would be announced in the market, in the marketplace. We will announce that and disclose all of that information if that time does arise. Right on. Yeah. Just to follow up, so there's a chance that it could be on the table potentially.
Can't really discuss.
Yeah. All right.
Trust me, I would love to. Yeah. I would really, truly love to discuss.
My job is to poke, Mr. Starkman. All right, so you guys are currently securing additional funding for the growth of not only Blue Nutric, but the company as a whole. So according to the terms, So tell me about the terms.
Well, great question in terms of the financing. That's one of the topics that has been brought up quite a bit. The short answer is yes, Blue Nutric is going to be raising a much larger amount than just $1 million. I mean, listen, $1 million in this day and age really doesn't get you very far. So they are looking at raising a much larger amount than just that $1 million. In terms of the structure, in terms of the amount, I would love to get into that, but until we actually announce that, it is a little challenging for myself to get into a lot of those details. Wish I could, but I truly cannot.
That's all right. That's all right. As we await solidification of Blue Nutric, which is hopefully around the corner, I know we're excited. I know many of us are very excited about this. What is your message to shareholders who've been waiting patiently? And I have about 4 million shares right now. I know that I'm in a Discord group, and we sort of share what we're buying, and I could tell there's a lot of enthusiasm with RMRK. So what's sort of your message?
I think the most important thing right now is that I want it to be known that I really truly do appreciate all of the RimRock loyal and long-term shareholders. We have been working tirelessly to make this deal a huge success. And for me, as a CEO, I want nothing more than to see every single shareholder prosper handsomely from this company. That's always been my mandate. That's always been my goal. And it has been a long time coming. I think that we're almost there. But I will always continue to communicate properly and effectively with all shareholders. I truly do believe in strong communication. Maybe at times in the past it slipped a little bit, but I'm always there if anyone needs to reach out, if any shareholder wants to call. I'm always available, and I think that again is very, very important for the CEO of a publicly traded company. And again, I've got an open door policy.
Right on. Brian says, fantastic to hear about the large amount coming in for Blue Nutric. In one of these instances, it won't be a case of more money, more problems. and Steve did have, will you be diluting your stock with more funding? And he did discuss that they're not raising.
So it's not going to be dilutive in any way, shape, or form right now, because it is going to be the preferred shares, the preferred convertible shares that will be issued. That's not to say that down the road, those preferreds will more than likely be converted into common, but again, not in the foreseeable future right now.
Right on. Jordan Starkman, thanks for hopping on. I look forward to you coming back on with Pierre, and I think it's going to be great.
Absolutely. And again, I would like to get together with you as well, since we are only an hour, max maybe an hour and a half away from each other.
I'll tell you what, I'll eat the meat. I know you're doing the vegan thing, so you know what? That's all right. All right, Jordan, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate it.